Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of Respect Coin. I am, as always, your host, Michael Bolling, and as always, we are presented by Wind Creek Chicago Southland. Are you ready for your winning moment? Find it at Wind Creek Chicago Southland, where the action never stops. Play the hottest table games, enjoy the newest slots, celebrate the biggest jackpots at Wind Creek Casino. There's a win waiting for you around every corner. If you haven't been out to Wind Creek, I encourage you to go check it out. The hotel and the spa, the entire resort is now open. Get over there, check out what they got going on. It is a beautiful casino. And if you need plans on Saturday, you may want to go check it out, because this Saturday is the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. An event that I believe is extremely special, very special to me and my family. My pops was an avid horse racing enthusiast, which in other words means he liked to bet on the ponies. So I like to tell people all the time, I would take detours on days where I was supposed to be at the park with my dad, and the park ended up being Hawthorne Racetrack. So a lot of things to look forward to this weekend, the first leg of the Triple Crown, and I'm going to get you prepared, whether you are an experienced horse racing bettor or a novice. I know a lot of people come together for watch parties at bars, at their houses. It's a really, really fun time to get in the game. So this episode is 100% horse racing focused. We're talking about the Derby from start to finish. Just to give you a little background about why this is such an important time for me, my pops, literally one of my best friends, he was all in. He was all in on the horses. All in to the point where when my mom was pregnant with my brother, he lobbied to continue his annual tradition with his buddies from the racetrack to go down to Kentucky and bet. It was obviously not as easy for us now in Illinois. We have been legal, we have had off-track betting, we have been able to bet at the actual tracks, but Pops wanted to go to Kentucky, Mom was pregnant with my brother. You can imagine how that conversation went, but somehow he was able to go. He went, he won a lot of money, he came back with a fur coat for my mom. So I don't think my mom was that upset in the end. We all made it through, we're all here. They were all fine after that. So once I heard that story as an adult, I was like, damn, one day I need to do that. Maybe not while my significant other is pregnant. I don't think I'm going to try and climb that tree, but it has been fun to go down there. I have had a chance to go myself, but it's kind of always been a part of, you know, the calendar for me. For as long as I could remember, I would be drinking orange juice out of, you know, Kentucky Derby cups. They have these glass cups that they give out. They're specific for every year. If you've been to Churchill Downs for the Derby, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those were the primary glasses in my household as a kid. But fast forward to 2021, I was able to go to Churchill for the first time in my life. My dad was super proud, but it wasn't a very standard operation. There's a couple ways you can watch and experience there at Churchill Downs. They have the infield, which is basically an all-day nonstop party. It's not covered. It's kind of like the infield of the Indy 500, probably a little smaller, obviously. But it's kind of a mess, right? You go out there, you're standing. There's some places to sit, but it's kind of all over the place, and there's beer tents, and it's a really good time. I skipped the infield experience because I was able to attend on behalf of Bleacher Report, my former employer, BR Betting, the crew. It was my second week on the job, and I got asked to go cover Mattress Mac, who is one of the biggest bettors in the world, one of his favorite activities to bet on, the Kentucky Derby, and he brought a mega bag of cash to bet. So we were in a suite with him, got to follow him around. Really one of the nicest guys ever, had the most hospitality, asked what we wanted or what we needed all day. I placed my little $5 wagers. I think he got up close to $1 million on the horse that he thought was going to win. And I think the only thing that stunk about it was the horse did not win. So just so you know, if you're someone who bets this weekend and you lose, if you're betting for fun, $5, $10, whatever it is, you probably aren't going to be the one that loses the most, because I can guarantee you the amount of money being thrown around at this event is astronomical. So really cool to experience that. Got to talk to my dad after that and let him know how fun it was. You know, just being able to like rub elbows with really important people, really rich people, celebrities. You know, Tom Brady was in a suite that was only a couple suites away from us, and so on and so forth. So that was my introduction to experiencing Churchill Downs. Kind of spoiled in that regard. It was really a once-in-a-lifetime experience being with Mattress Mac. Then I got a chance to go back in 2013. This time I went with Kelly and her company. And we sat at what was newly unveiled as the first turn suite. That was another unreal experience. You know, it was all you can eat, all you can drink. But the difference was, in a suite, you're kind of in the middle of the racetrack, and you're looking from above, which was a unique angle. Definitely could see the horses on all the sides of, you know, coming around the turns and everything. From above, it was more bird's eye. The first turn suite is literally on the ground level. If you're down there, you can put your hand in the dirt. I'm sure they don't want you to do that, but, and there's like a whole watching area down low, so you can really hear and feel the power of these horses running. That was pretty unbelievable to get to do, and you know, I'm really thankful for that opportunity, because it was a lot of fun. You know, some of the best food you can find, you know, getting drinks, obviously mint juleps, lilies. I'm a lily guy. If you don't know, definitely Google it. Mint julep is the official drink of the Kentucky Derby. The lily is the official drink of the Kentucky Oaks. I'm filming this on Friday. The Kentucky Oaks are going on right now, and tomorrow we will have Derby Day. So I've been twice, really a lot of fun. I encourage you, as sports fans, as betting fans, as gamblers, if you have an opportunity to ever go down to Louisville and experience the Kentucky Derby, I encourage you to not wait, just go. Absolutely one of the most fun days you can have as a sports fan. I couldn't encourage it anymore. It is really just super unique. You get to dress up, even if you don't like dressing up, watching other people dressed up. But the fanfare, the pomp and circumstance, the anthem, the horns, everything about the Kentucky Derby in Louisville at Churchill Downs is truly unbelievable. So I encourage you, if you have the means for it, if you have the desire for it, let me be the reason that puts you over the edge. Definitely go and experience the Kentucky Derby in person. All right, enough blabbering. Let's get into the race. First and foremost, you can bet the Kentucky Derby on your phones now here in Illinois. It's legal in plenty of states. Definitely check. You know, these books will happily take your bets. DraftKings has a separate app called DK Horse. FanDuel has FanDuel Racing. You can access that from the FanDuel app, FanDuel Sportsbook app. And there's also TwinSpires, which is a little more of a traditional that is linked through Churchill Downs. So 3 major options here in Illinois. If you're outside of Illinois, definitely check in on your legal sports sites. And some sports, you know, some cities that don't have legal sports wagering will have OTBs and things like that. So if you can't bet it mobily, there's probably somewhere in your area or around your area where you can go and place wagers with cash the traditional way. Rule number 1. Horse racing is extremely hard to handicap. This is not like public information. Not a lot of people know these trainers, these horses, these owners. So unless you're plugged in with horse owners or trainers, or you frequent the racetrack a lot, anyone who's listening to this, I'm pretty sure the majority does not have that connection. Do not waste all your money trying too hard this Saturday. Please don't. You'll be at a party, you'll be at a bar, you will get talked into doing anything because it's a vibe. Really hard to win these. A lot of goofy stuff happens. There's so much stuff involved. Don't be betting a ton of money on the Derby. Have some fun with it. Be reasonable. It goes fast. It goes extremely fast, and I'll explain a little bit about that later. Number 2, betting on horses is pari-mutuel betting. So it's not the same as normal sports betting. So for example, let's say you put 10 bucks on a horse to win. The odds may be 5-1 when you took it. If you place that bet, because it's in a pari-mutuel pool, the odds will change based on how much money comes in on those horses. So based on what everybody else is betting, you might end up with a different number than you had in the beginning. It just is what it is. Pari-mutuel betting to some kind of sounds like a scam. I don't know that it's a scam when you start to really understand it, but it isn't the same as normal sports betting. So keep that in mind. Since bets are taken all the way up until the start of the race, the odds will change consistently. So just because you bet someone at 5-1 doesn't mean it'll be 5-1 when the race goes. That's good and bad. If you're really convicted on one horse and he's 12-1, it comes down to 7-1. That means some smarter people than you, people with more money, people with more info, they might be on it as well. That can be taken as a good sign. And inversely, if you bet a 12-1 horse that you really like and he ends up at 17-1 and they win, you're going to win a lot more money than you would if it was 12-1. So keep those things in mind when you're placing those bets. And finally, I mentioned that it goes fast. They call the Kentucky Derby the greatest 2 minutes in sports, and I could not agree anymore. If you are a fan or a member of the Quick Resolving Bet Club, like I am myself, this is going to be the most fun you have betting all year. Millions of dollars wagered across the country and the world. The race will be over before you know it, and that rush is really unlike anything. So make sure you're having fun, you're betting within your means, pick your favorite number, pick your favorite horse name, the colors on the bibs, all those things are in play. If you see a name that sticks out to you, bet that way. Have some fun with it because it's going to go fast, and obviously we don't have all the information at our disposal, so anything can happen. I encourage you to just have fun with it. It's a really, really fun event, and greatest 2 minutes in sports, it'll be over in 120 seconds. So, how I like to bet the Derby. If you already know how to bet on horses and you are an aficionado, you can skip this part. I'm going to give my picks right after, but for the audience members who haven't bet, maybe this is your first kind of horse racing, introduction to betting it, I'm going to tell you about a couple ways that I like to bet. So if you're unfamiliar, the Kentucky Derby will run at 5:57 p.m. on Saturday, May 3rd. Before 6 o'clock, there's going to be 11 other races starting at 10 a.m. and you have a pick of the litter. Those races are still for a lot of money, not as much money as the Kentucky Derby, but Louisville puts the best of the best on display on that Saturday. So before the race begins, before the Kentucky Derby begins, the Kentucky Derby is race 12, again, 5:57 p.m. If you want to get in the game before, we kind of developed a little system in 2023 that I thought was extremely fun, and it was betting win, place, show. So win is to come in first place, place is to come in second place, third is show, and you can bet a win, place, show bet that allows you to cash your bet as long as the horse comes within first, second, or third. Really interesting. It's kind of like a round robin for, if you're looking for terms that kind of align to sports betting. But it's really fun for me, I think, if you don't really know or you can't really research the horse races before the Kentucky Derby and you want to get in the game, win, place, show is the way to go. And what we did as a group, we kind of pulled together our money. We looked through the lines, we looked at the trainers, we looked at the names and the odds, and we decided on one horse. And what we did was we took that horse. If they won, we rolled it into the next one, and so on and so forth. I think we won 7 races in a row before we were trying to get all the way up to the Derby to put one, final bet on a winner. We didn't make it all the way, but it's a really fun way to kind of get through the day. I know there's anxiety involved. Obviously, you're trying not to bet a lot of money. And the good thing about betting on horse racing is you can bet as little as 50 cents to as much as you have. So there's a market for everyone. The only kicker with win, place, show, if you're betting $5, let's say that for example, your wager is actually $15. So you're covering the bet of potentially having a winner, second place, or third place. A $5 bet is actually a $15 wager, but you win more money if the horse wins. So there's some lingo involved there. Don't get too confused. If you bet a win, place, show, and you bet $5, the wager costs you 15 bucks. If your horse comes in first, you win the most. If your horse comes in second, you win a little less. And then if your horse comes in third, you win the least for whatever you wagered. It's pretty easy. I think it's fun. And if you have, some buddies that you want to pull some money together with, maybe run with that. Do some rollovers. You don't have to roll over 10 races. If you win 2 and you're good and you've made your money back and doubled your money or whatever, keep your money, save it until the Kentucky Derby. But that's how I'll be betting before the Kentucky Derby. Again, it's called Win Place Show. It's a 3x bet. So if you're betting $5, the wager ticket costs you 15. If your horse comes in first, second, or third, you win a varying amount of those payouts based on where they placed in first, second, or third. Really fun way to break the day up, get in where you fit in, and have some fun with it. As it pertains to the actual Kentucky Derby, there's 2 things that I'll be doing for sure. I will bet straight up a horse to win. I usually will bet 1 or 2 horses. I like to normally bet one of the favorites because I do think that there's not a lot of variance involved with who they consider or perceive as the best horse in the field, and I'll get into that a little later. But I also know that horse racing is wacky. A horse could trip, a horse could slip, a horse could get in somebody's way and get disqualified. So there is value in taking some of these long shots, not super long shots. I think there's a very steep gap between a lot of these horses. So, the idea of you hitting 100 to 1 is probably unlikely. It has happened, but it's not very often. So I like to take a mid-tier long shot, someone in the 15 to 25 to 1 range, and then someone at near the top as a favorite. And then aside from just betting on a winner, I do like to bet trifecta boxes. This is a little confusing, but if you like to bet parlays, this should make a little bit of sense. It's sort of like a round robin. So a trifecta box, just to give you a lesson on the terminology, you can bet exactas, which is first and second place. You can bet trifectas, which is first, second, and third place. And you can bet superfectas, which is first, second, third, and fourth place. And if the term box seems unfamiliar to you, boxing them means you can have them finish in any order. So if your first horse, the favorite, finishes in first, the other 2 finish in second and third, in any order, you will still cash your bet. So if the long shot ends up at the top of the board, you'll make some more money. But then, just to kind of close the loop, there's a multiplier on the bet. It's not just a straight up bet. You can bet straight up boxes, but you can bet straight up trifectas, but it has to come in exact order. So I like to use the box, gives you a little flexibility and allows you to put maybe a horse that is a little more of a dark horse in the field and potentially maximize your payout. So the operative word is box. If you're betting a trifecta after hearing this, make sure if you're at the window or if you're in your phone, you click the box option because that will allow you to get the round robin. And again, that will up the amount that you spend on a bet. So for example, a trifecta box with 4 horses, if you bet $2 on that, it's a $48 ticket. It's kind of confusing. I think that I can explain it this way best. I would keep it simple. Pick 4 horses you like, and if any of those 4 horses comes in first, second, or third in your trifecta box, you will win some amount of money. $2 wager costs $48. So that's what I do. I do a straight up winner. I do a couple trifecta boxes with the horses that I like. And that's kind of how it goes, I think there's a lot of very unique and exotic ways to bet. You can bet daily doubles, which means you bet something today during the Oaks, and you bet something tomorrow, and you have to have both things happen. You can bet pick 5s, where you bet 5 horses or 5 races in a row, and you have to hit all 5 of those winners in a row. There's a lot of money to be made, but for the sake of an introduction to horse racing betting for the Kentucky Derby, I would keep it simple. Bet a horse to win. Pick your favorite name. Pick your favorite, color, number, whatever it is. And then if you want to get a little frisky with a trifecta box, pick 3 or 4 horses that you like. Put them in a trifecta box. you spend 48 bucks, and if they come in across the board in any order, you cash your bet. So I'm going to get into the picks that I like, but I want to make sure I discuss some of these promotions that are going on DraftKings and FanDuel. If you're a first-time bettor, which a lot of people will be on horse racing, if you didn't know DK Horse existed, if you didn't know there was a separate wing of the FanDuel Sportsbook app that is just for horse racing, this is the part of the show where you'll want to listen up. First, for DK Horse on DraftKings, it's a separate app, so make sure you go into your App Store or Google Play and download that app. They have what's called the King of the Track promotion. So you place a minimum bet of $5 on any horse to win, and if that horse wins, you split $1 million pot with anyone else who bet and opted into this promotion. You share that winning pool of $1 million. So there's a lot of ways to slice it. If you like the favorite and you think the favorite's going to win, you could bet the favorite, but your odds of bonus bet that's significant is pretty low. I'm imagining a lot of people are going to bet the favorite. Or you can use a long shot here, and if they somehow hit the podium and they win the 151st Kentucky Derby, then you might have a nice little payout for the bonus bet. But this is an awesome promotion. You have to bet a minimum of $5, so it's not that much. And yeah, if you luck out, you get to split a little extra cheese in the form of bonus bets on DraftKings. On the other side, for FanDuel, they're doing a very traditional no-sweat Derby bet up to $50 back in bonus bets if your bet loses. This is kind of unique, in my opinion, just because you can use trifectas, you can use superfectas. It doesn't have to be just a straight bet of the winner. So there is value in taking a swing. Like I said earlier, if you like the $2 trifecta box option, that's going to be a $48 bet. That falls in that range. So if you bet on FanDuel and you do your first trifecta box, you will get your money back in bonus bets on the racing app if it doesn't hit. Kind of nice. So you got two options right off the bat. And I don't think a lot of people, realize that these options are available. So plenty of people will be doing this for the first time. There will be a lot of volume. Make sure you cover your bases. Use these promotions because they're really fun and they're really solid for the consumer. So I encourage you to check those both out. Okay, finally, let's get to some of the horses I like. It's a loaded field. The Kentucky Derby normally has between like 16 and 22 horses. It's a ton of horses on the track. There will be a lot of jockeying, for lack of a better word, no pun intended. But a lot of crazy things happen when there's that many horses on the track. Horses get bumped and nudged, and there's inquiries. There's too much. I don't have enough time to explain to you how many times I've been crushed by inquiries. It is what it is, but there's 4 horses that I really like that I think you should consider this week. I'm going to start with the favorite. The favorite is number 8. The horse's name is Journalism. That's pretty fun for the journalists around here. He's by far the best horse in the field. He's got the first and second best speed figure according to Beyer, which is essentially like WAR or BPI, those kind of metrics that tell you the horse's talent and their speed relative to the track they're running. The Kentucky Derby is one of the longer races in the horse racing season. So this horse overcame some trouble at Santa Anita, which the Santa Anita Derby is a good kind of preparation race and a good kind of measuring stick for the Kentucky Derby. Overcome some early trouble there, still was able to win. This is far and beyond the favorite horse, and they should hit the board no matter what. I don't think there's another horse that may steal the top 3 spots from them. So Journalism is one to target. You're going to hear the name Journalism all weekend long. Clear-cut favorite. No reason to kind of go against the grain. And definitely a horse that you should have somewhere in your trifecta box, in my opinion. Just because Journalism is the odds-on favorite and the best kind of metrics around him doesn't mean that that's the horse that's going to win. So many times we've seen the favorite comes in second or third. So that's why I kind of like making sure they're in a trifecta box, a superfecta box, maybe an exacta if you want to get a little crazy. The second horse I like, the number 7 horse, 𝗦𝗫𝗀𝗃. He's won 4 straight races. And a very interesting note, has a Triple Crown winner, American Pharoah, as their sire. So it's got blood. You know, the lineage kind of really matters in horse racing. He's got a Triple Crown winner's blood in him. He's Kentucky bred, but he belongs to Japan. Now, the Japan thing is a very interesting part of all of this. A Japanese horse has never won the Kentucky Derby. I'll repeat that. A Japanese horse has never won the Kentucky Derby. I think recently there was a horse that came in second or third, I believe third, and that was the highest finish a Japanese horse ever had. But you have to consider this horse is bred in Kentucky. So a little bit of a, you know, dual kind of citizenship action going on here. Could Japan produce their first Kentucky Derby winner this year? It might sound unlikely to some, but for me, I like narratives. I don't want to be on the wrong side of history if they do, so I will certainly be putting 𝗦𝗏𝗃 in my rotation of bets this week. And also, last time I went to Vegas for the Super Bowl, I stayed at the Luxor, so maybe there was some good vibes there. Definitely had a good time at the Luxor. A lot of people don't like it. I don't know why. I had a blast. So, number 7, 𝗦𝗏𝗃, a horse to look out for. The next horse, 𝗤𝗏𝘃, number 14. This horse seems to be improving. They ran their best race of their career at the Louisiana Derby, and they won by 2 1/4 lengths, which is a big discrepancy there. So this is a horse that's got some talent. The note here, though, their trainer, Asmussen, no trainer has entered the Kentucky Derby, or entered more horses into the Kentucky Derby without winning than this trainer. 0 for 26 lifetime. So you might be thinking, maybe I should stay away from this trainer and this horse. What I'm thinking as a DGen is this trainer is absolutely due. So I will be taking 𝗤𝗏𝘃 in my rotation of bets. I'm going to tell one of my good friends, 𝗤𝗏𝘃, to make sure he gets some money down on it as well. And then finally, the last horse that I'm really targeting this week is number 17, and the horse's name is Sandman. Sandman is very known for coming on late, which could be perfect at the Derby in Churchill. It's a long race. This horse got plenty of speed. And if you notice, the name Sandman should stick out to you. Anyone a Metallica fan? I'm sure there's plenty. There's a Metallica angle to the name, and the coat of the horse, meaning what the color of the fur is very gray. So if you're looking for like a pop culture narrative here, Sandman is your horse, fan favorite, and more importantly, this horse is a closer. So may not start strong. This might be a situation where you put $5 on Sandman and they're nowhere to be found in the first kind of 40 seconds of the race. And then all of a sudden you see this striking gray coat coming around the bend and could potentially win this race. Definitely has the talent to do it. Definitely has a jockey that's been there before. A horse that I think everyone could consider and get behind if they win. So to recap, I like number 8, Journalism, by far the favorite in the race. I like the 7, 𝗦𝗏𝗃. He's got some bloodlines that I think shouldn't be ignored, but it's a Japanese horse, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm trying to be on the right side of history. Number 14, 𝗤𝗏𝘃, had a nice showing at the Louisiana Derby. Again, trying to be on the right side of history. Their trainer hasn't won a race in 26 tries. History could be on their side. And then finally, Sandman, the 17, I think will be one of the fan favorites. You can't miss this horse. Gray fur, Metallica references, pop culture narratives, all galore, and a very good, strong closing horse. I believe will be there at the end. So the 8, the 7, the 17, and the 14 are the 4 horses that I like this week. So if you're trying to bet a trifecta box, let's say you're going to the OTB and you're going to the window, this is what you say to them. I'd like to bet a trifecta box on 7, 8, 14, and 17 for $2. They will hand you a ticket that says $48. You hand them $48 and you're in. And if you're punching this in your app, make sure you have the 7, the 8, the 14, and the 17. And if you're using FanDuel, I would encourage you to use that no sweat bet option because it falls under that $50 maximum. Finally, for the winner, I'm going to be taking 3 options. I'm going to bet journalism outright. I think the metrics are too hard to ignore. While I don't necessarily think it's a lock that journalism will win, all the numbers jump off the page and say this is the best horse in the race. So I will be taking journalism. Currently right now is 3-1. I might wait a little bit because it doesn't matter if, you know, I get it at 3-1. It might be a little different tomorrow. So I may wait to see if anything happens. But journalism is a bet that I will 100% make to win the Kentucky Derby. Second bet I will make outright is Sandman. I talked a lot about why I think Sandman is a fun option. The pop culture references aside, this is a really, really strong horse. I think it's one of the top 3 favorites to win the race. Anyway, right now it's 5-1. So I will be taking Sandman. And then finally, I mentioned the King of the Track promotion a little earlier. This is if you bet at least $5 and your horse wins, you split bonus bets up of $1 million with anyone else in the country who has taken this horse. I will be betting on 𝗦𝗫𝗄𝗃 𝗂𝗃 with that promotion currently right now at 12-1. So that's my long shot. So just to recap quickly, 2 outright winners for me. Journalism, the favorite, love the idea, love the name. Sandman, again, pop culture references. That's my second outright bet. And then I'll be using the King of the Track promotion on 𝗦𝗫𝗄𝗃 𝗂𝗃. So that's what I have. Please feel free to hit me up on social at Mike Alex Bolling on all my socials. If you have any questions, hit me up. You know, whatever you need, if I can be helpful, I will. Again, don't be the curmudgeon who's like, I don't care about horse racing. I'm not going to go watch the Kentucky Derby. It's seriously one of the most fun sporting events on the sports calendar, something I think everyone could get into. And you don't have to bet a lot of money to have an investment and have that feeling and that rush when those horses cross the line. Let's hope we have a good race, and let's hope we put some extra cash in our pockets this Saturday. The Kentucky Derby will run at 5:57 p.m. Central. It is the 12th race at Churchill Downs in Louisiana, Kentucky, and I wish you all good luck, because one of the best ways to respect coin is not to knock the horse racing, not to knock the ponies. The ponies are fun, so go out, have a beer, have a drink. If you find a bar that serves mint juleps, have one of those. If you can find a lily, I very much encourage you to have one of those. But wishing you the best luck, and hopefully you can have a fun Saturday betting on the Kentucky Derby. Peace.